Good morning, everyone. I'm Jamie, and this is my garden, and we have a lot to do and a lot to get caught up on. You might hear I'm still a little stuffy, but I'm feeling good enough, and you can see it's shaded here for right now, so I have a little bit of time to try to get caught up. I'm getting started a little bit later than I would normally because Sister had her awards day today, so it was well worth missing a few hours in the garden to watch my daughter get her awards at school. And we're very proud of her, and I'll show you what I'm going to do. I may take you along, but if not, I'll show you what I did after. So here I have my okra, and as you can see, we have a lot of weeds coming up. This was reclaimed just a few weeks ago when I planted out the okra because we put the chickens where I was going to plant my okra. This was all unplanned, so I just had to make a spot. So I'm going to have heavy weed pressure because this was not prepared to grow in. So I'm going to go through and just weed eat through the paths all around. And I have some beans that I want to plant in between. Let me show you. Alright, these are contender beans, and they're a bush bean. And I'm going to plant them, well, not there because that's already got a purple basil. I have some basils spread out between. So anywhere there's not a basil between, I'm going to go ahead and put a bush bean and see how that works. I've never done that before, and I've never grown this variety of bush beans. So this is going to be all a test to see how well bush beans will grow along the okra. And they're most of them are about a foot tall. So the beans shouldn't catch up and interfere with their growth at all, because these are just going to continue to shoot up steadily. But see all that dollar weed? I'll go through and pull out whatever I can, and then hopefully I can mulch today, and then that will help with some of the weed pressure. I'm just going to mulch right on top of these beds because I'm hoping I won't be using this area in ground next year, but that I'll have another raised bed like this here and maybe two more. And then also I want to go through and weed, and I need to decide if that one's staying or not. It wasn't that happy when I first put it in, and as you see, it's not caught up with these other ones. And I do have some pepper plants in here too, but I'm also going to go through and weed through here and try to mulch this bed as well, because you do not want splashback on your tomato plants. Especially here in the south, we need to do our best to keep things trimmed and separated so the moisture doesn't get to them. And as you can see, I need to go through and prune these suckers out. And what a sucker is this right here. So you want to take that and nip it off. I'm going to get some nippers since this one is bigger. And you want to leave this one. I might actually take everything from this height down off the plant. And I'm already getting flowers, but I want to keep it nice and airy because the humidity will cause diseases in your tomato plants. And remember to bottom water your tomato plants because they do not like moisture on their leaves. Of course, you can't help it if it rains on them, but when you're watering, water at the base and water it deeply and less often versus daily and shallow. And that'll help your roots grow further down and make for a healthier, stronger plant. And you see, I've got some marigolds dotted in there as well. And I'll show you if they weren't murdered by chickens. We ended up having to cut a couple of them's wings because they kept getting out and dusting in my beds. But this here is a red Malabar spinach. Now where I live, when they say full sun, they don't really mean full sun. And tomato plants struggle everywhere in completely full sun. Well, I say everywhere, but most places in completely full sun throughout the entire summer. They'll start to get stressed. So as you see, this place gets some shade, but it will get 8 hours of sun. So I'm hoping that Malabar spinach will kind of lend some shade once it's needed. And we'll have to see, because there we go back to the, will it give enough space for airflow to not cause diseases? So again, this is going to be a trial as well. So I also have to go through and prune, like I said, and I need to tie them up some more because they are getting tall. I'm also hoping to get to this bed. I went through a few things down there yesterday, and got to make the decision if I'm ripping everything out. And I did take y'all with me on a short and get some manure this morning to help fill in this bed because it's dropped quite a bit again. I think this bed's, this is the second season we've grown in this bed, so it's going to keep dropping. Next year maybe it'll drop a little bit less, but it will always drop. Just hopefully it'll just drop by a couple inches instead of 4 to 6 next year. So for that bed, and I think I have space in my one other raised bed, I need to try to put most of this out because it is getting a little crazy. I mean, even my eggplants have flowers. So these need to be handled and taken care of, and I am just going to go through and get as much as possible done today, and we'll see how it goes. Alright, so I got all of this weed-eated, and you might not be comfortable doing that because if you get too close, you hit one of them plants, that's it. But as you can see, I still need to go in here and hand pull. I hate these things because you got to get all of that white out that you can. You leave any in, that's it, they're going to grow more. And in the soil, I don't think you can really get all of it. But I'm going to go through and hand weed closest to the plants. And a lot of these I'm going to go ahead and mound up some more. These are my okra. And I usually trench them, but I put these out smaller, and I did bury them a good bit deeper, but I think there's one over here. Actually, no, that is a volunteer something. And where I got my manure has cucamelons, and then I have one over here too. So we might have some cucamelons growing in here. So I'm going to go through and hand weed closest to the plants and mound up whatever ones need to be mounded, and that will give them strength. We live in an area that gets hurricanes, so any of these plants that get super tall will get knocked over. They're tall plants with shallow roots. And if we have high winds or hurricanes coming through, these plants get knocked over. So I usually like to trench them. If I'm direct seeding, I always trench. About 6 inches of a trench. And I plant my seed, cover it, and then as it passes that mound, I start backfilling. But I grew from starts that I direct sowed in the seed starts this year because I wanted to be ahead of the game. And buried them a little bit deeper, so I'm going to see how this works, which I did this last year and it was fine, but we also didn't get a huge hurricane. So I'm going to finish this, get some mulching done, and maybe I'll take you along with the tomatoes area, but I think that other bed's going to be had to be another video. Alright, everything's weeded, and I've got some mulch down, and that's just really small wood chips that we put sticks through a wood chipper, and even that's starting to break down. But this I got from the linesman last year. I had 4 or 5 giant truckfuls that they dropped off here, and I went through all but about one, and that's what I got left. And you can see there's still good chunky pieces, but I bet at the bottom, I only have about half a pile left. At the bottom, I'm sure it's soil by now. and I can see there's some ants and some possibly winged ants that swarm through this area every once in a while. But I'm going to put it in there anyway. And we're going to use this stuff because it needs to be used up anyway. And if I have to add more, I will. If I get sick of it, I'll just leave it and weed eat what I can. I have been known to just weed eat my paths and keep things down until the heat gets too brutal, and then we just let things go, and may the odds forever be in your favor type of gardening. So I'm going to go through these two and try to finish putting out all the compost here. As you see, the sun's starting to creep this way, so I want to get this done before the sun hits and maybe get that area finished too. Alright, so that looks much better. That'll help me out with the weed pressure a little bit and having to water. And there's a couple more places in here that I probably will cover with some mulch as well, even on the other side. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get started on this tomato area before the sun starts to really hit, because I need to get a few more things done out here. And this is going to get real hot real fast. Okay, so I just want to quickly say, any of the tools I'm using, I truly love. I paid for them myself, and they make my life easier. The cart, the weed eater, these are a little bit more expensive than I would normally buy, but they are Swiss made, and they are lasting, and they are staying sharp, and they were worth the investment, as well as my Milwaukee cordless weed eater. A little bit more of an investment, but has made my life a heck of a lot easier. And my little cart, I call it my mama cart, that helps me move things around the yard without having to either start the tractor or wait for somebody to help me, and I can get a whole lot more done. And I will leave the links in the description for those in case you're interested in them. And like I said, I will not leave a link for a product that I don't believe in and don't use myself. And hope it helps you out. By the way, I'm super cheap and I'm proud of it, and I try to do things on the cheap and reuse. So if it's expensive, it's because it's been well worth it, and it's a quality product that will last me years and years and years. That way I don't have to keep buying the cheaper version of it over and over and over, which I don't like that either. That's waste and adds to our landfills, and I'm all about using everything as long as possible. Alright, I'm going to take you in a little closer here. See right here, there's a stem, and then there's right here in the middle. And I'm just going to nip that one off and try to squish that stink bug. But that is a sucker, and that's what you don't want. These are indeterminates. And I'm going to weed as I come through here as well. And I'm going to go ahead and use my twine, which I need to go grab. So I'll be right back. Okay, so if you are like me and live in a humid area, you'll want to prune your tomatoes to give them the best chance possible. And I like to say I live in the armpit of Texas. Maybe you can understand why. And I'll show you, I'll bring you in a little closer and show what I do. And let me know how it works for you and what you do differently. Thanks. This might seem brutal, but it is for the best. And this one, I'll show you. You want a nice flush cut. And I can take this and stick it in water and have another plant. And I might take them and stick them in there and root some anyway, just in case something happens. But I'm going to just go through all the way up to this one. So it's got a lot of space between the leaves where they come out and the ground. And then I can take any or all of these that I want, as long as they're not diseased, and go ahead and root those. And like I said, I'm going to weed in between. And I'm going to go ahead and trellis this off camera. And I'm just going to take this jute or twine, hemp stuff, and tie it around about here so it can have some stability. And you don't want to tie it too tight. You want it to be able to move a bit, or you're going to restrict your plant and it can saw through. So be careful of the material that you use to tie it up. Shoestrings, pantyhose, I've seen people use all kinds of stuff. So anything soft. Alright, that's what that looks like right here. And I've got it where it can go back and forth, because tomatoes, flowers, if they get shook in the wind, will pollinate themselves. And you want it to be able to move for pollination as well. So I'm going to go through and finish up all of these. Alright, before I forget, I'm going to go through here and plant these contender beans in between my okra and see if we can get a double crop here. That might mean I need to fertilize a little bit more, but underneath all this mulch is well rotted horse manure, so that might get me through for a lot longer than just soil. And let's get to it. Okay, so anywhere I have like a marigold growing, then these are Texas Longhorn, by the way. They're my favorite. My grandfather grew them, and I just absolutely love them. And then I have a purple basil, so this area is already plenty planted out. Then I have another okra, and then I'm going to put one right there. Let's see if I can do this one-handed. So I'm going to find the soil, which is there, and then I'm going to just put a little hole, plop the bean in, cover it up, and I'm going to leave this stuff back so it has a chance to grow up. And I'm going to just do that. Okay, again here we have another blank area, and we have this area, so we might as well grow in it. Alright, make me a little hole. Try to get one bean. There we go. One bean. Cover it up a little bit. Keep this stuff back. And we'll continue on. Oh, we have a little basil there that's trying. We'll leave it and let it try. And then we have another basil here, and another basil here, and then there's a cucumber in here. But I think on this side, I'm going to plant a bean. We'll do one on, we'll have cucamelon, well I think it's cucamelon on one side, and bush beans on the other. And see how this high density planting works. Alright, that's lucky. And pull out all of that I can. That's that dollar weed. Alright. Plant, no plant. So we're going to do the same thing. Alright, I'm going to just continue and get all this done. Alright y'all, we got quite a bit done. And as you can see, the sun is bearing down in this area now. So I'm going to do the same thing. Let you follow along. Probably fast forward for you so you can just see it get done. And then we'll have a little overview. By the way, thanks for hanging out with me. I appreciate it. This filming and sharing with you guys makes all of this even more worth it. And if you ever have questions or comments, please feel free to share. I'm happy to talk with you guys and answer questions or have a good chat about gardening. And let me get to it before midday really hits. stick. You want it? Sit. Ready? Go get it. Some of this is really broke down, like soil. So I'm gonna kind of spread it out evenly through here. And that'll give nutrients to the ground in here. And then I'm gonna go get some more of the chunkier. Nice big old fat worms in here too. I'm going to try to show you what I found. I think they're so stinking cute. Can you see it? Just a teeny, I mean he's as big as my thumbnail. Oh, there he went. Anyway, that's why everything takes me so long. I get so distracted. Alright, I'll take you real quick. Got all that okra and now beans and basils and probably cucamelons all mulched up. Yeah, I could have done a better job. Do I really care that much? Not really. I already know my fight weeds. Same thing here. Wasn't planning on gardening in this area, but needs must. And we've got all the mulch down, and I say it looks pretty daggum good for not having planned to garden here this year. So if you don't have a perfect space, don't let that stop you. Things want to grow, and even if you have a black thumb, just do your research and try, document, film, or take notes if that's your thing, and keep track of what went wrong and what went right, and learn from year to year, and I promise you, you'll get better. So we got those 3 areas weeded, weed-eated, mulched, and some beans put out, and that's a pretty good work for this morning. And I'll show you what I'm going to do next. I think to make this a little less chaotic for me, I'm going to take each of these pots out and set it in my raised beds wherever I think I have the spot or the space to do it. And then that'll clear up this a little bit better to let me see what the heck I actually have going on. But that's going to have to be on the next video. I know everybody's busy this time of year, so I don't want to make them too long, and this is already long enough. But again, thanks for hanging out with me. If you will, please hit subscribe, like, leave me a comment, and I really appreciate everybody who is supporting me through this journey. This is not in my comfort zone to do this, but it's been fun, and I love you guys and look forward to filming and sharing all the rest of this with you. And Jumanji Garden, that's its official name, Jumanji Garden, because we got work to do. But anyway, bye for now. I'm going to hydrate. Make sure you get your water intake in today, and see you later.